Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the SFC interviews here with John Nutter today. So how you doing, John? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
That's all right. Not a problem. It's always good to catch up with you guys. And this is episode number 27 now since I've started doing these. So we're getting through a fair amount. You know, you can say that's a full squad. So there you go. Getting through quite a lot there. So what were the main reasons why you signed up with Stevenage? And I know one of them has got to be the gaffer, Mark Stimpson. You played with him prior to being at Stevenage with Grays as well. So I'm sure he was quite a big impact on bringing you over.
Yeah, that was certainly a major factor in it. It wasn't the only one. I also knew the team was pretty strong, and they'd had a couple of good years before I signed, and it felt like the team at Grays, obviously we had an incredible team. Loads of them went on to have fantastic careers. But it did feel like that team was going to break up slightly. And yeah, as a different challenge, it was close to home as well a little bit for me. And it's just sort of a perfect move, really. A bigger club, more established and looking to go forward. So easy one, really. Fair
enough. And of course, you'd done well with Grays as well. You'd won a few FA trophies with them prior to coming to Stevenage. So, what was that like to, play a couple of the trophy finals and then the main one being the one at Stevenage, where obviously we went on to win that season with the Kidderminster final and the Steve Morrison goal right at the death there, right at the very end.
Yeah. I mean, I was just sort of a strange record in the trophy, really. Winning it 3 years in a row is pretty crazy. I'm not sure many people have done that, but no, it was great. I mean, the Grey side was a really good young side, load of energy in it. A really good young team, and we won it quite comfortably both years. The first one was penalties, but then come to Stevenage, doing it at Wembley was just that extra bit special, especially in the fashion that we did it. Where we vividly remember, we talk about now some of the boys if we see each other about half time when we were walking off half time and a couple of their players were pretty much celebrating already.
AJ said the same when I spoke to him. Yeah,
that was sort of all we needed to see, really, and then. We always thought we were such a fit team. We always knew that the last half an hour games we were always at our best. So we were sort of felt comfortable that we'd get back into it. And then Mitchell, the star that's not with us anymore, he set it going, and we ended up winning in the last minute. Yeah, it was good fun.
It was a great day to be a part of as well. And I'm sure lots of Stevenage fans have great memories of that. And of course, the semi-final was against Grays as well, your former team there. So, what was that like to go back to Grays? Because actually, when you were at Stevenage, you had a fairly decent record against Grays as well. I think you won more than you did.
It's a funny one. Obviously, I knew a lot of them anyway, and Stimo knew most of them. Those were good games. To be honest with you, I did feel quite comfortable in both games. I never thought we were in much trouble, to be fair. That team we had at Stevenage that year, probably must have been middle to end of September onwards. I thought we were the best team in the league that year. We just started so badly that we had to catch up and we ended up missing the playoffs. But from sort of October time, we barely lost a game. So we felt like we were strong. We had a good balanced team. Even when we lost Boydie, we still managed to carry on and do okay. So no, a really good team and a brilliant 18 months at Stevenage for me.
And when you were there, you just mentioned Boydie as well. He was involved in that first trophy game, the very first one against Merthyr Tydfil before he moved. And that was the George Boyd show. That's the one
he scored 4 that day.
Yeah, he ran the show that day, got 4 goals.
Yeah, I remember that game. Listen, I knew Boydie, obviously I played against him, and then we played together for the England representative side as well.
Yeah,
and he's just a ridiculous player. So we knew it was only a matter of time before he left. I think the big thing for him that sort of freed him up a little bit was when Stimo moved into number 10 rather than playing him wide.
Mm-hmm.
When he moved to 10, every time I got the ball, I could just find him in a pocket and he'd just go and he'd be setting goals up or scoring goals. And I think he only played about 5 or 6 games after he moved to number 10. He was just gone. So, more importantly, he's an absolutely brilliant boy as well. Such a good lad, really good boy.
And obviously he's doing well for himself as well. He moved on and done well at Peterborough and moved his way up to Burnley. And then now he's back with Peterborough again via Sheffield Wednesday as well, playing there.
Fully deserved. Yeah, I mean, I saw him, funny enough, at Mitchell's benefit game and Ronnie's testimonial.
Yeah.
And had a good chat with him then because my family were all Burnley fans, so it was nice to chat to him then. But no, it couldn't have happened to a better kid, really. For someone who's so talented, he worked incredibly hard as well. So, he's just a great boy.
And of course, he got himself into the international side, didn't he, as well, for over in Scotland?
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get more caps, really. Like at the time when he left Peterborough and was at Hull, and then especially was playing for Burnley in the Premier League pretty regularly. I'm surprised he didn't get more caps, but still something he can be very proud of.
That's right. And then you played with Boro as well, and of course he got capped by Wales, so that's another one there.
Yeah, Steve did all right. So Steve was he turned up like I'll be honest with you. When Steve turned up at Stevenage, I didn't know who he was. I had no idea. I'd never seen him play. Didn't know he'd scored any goals. I had no idea anything about him. And then first game, I think he scored 2 immediately. And just an absolute goal machine. Just he knows where the goal is. He's sort of old-fashioned number 9, but he was so mobile. He was quick as well. He was really good for us. Him and Boydie at 10 and him at 9 were like frightening.
That's right. A very scary front line there. I bet you were glad sometimes to be on the defence that were with them and not against them.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, it's hard. Steve could head it. He could run. He could sprint. He could take you on. He could hold it up. And then Boydie would just find pockets. No one could get near him. And even though Boydie couldn't run either, he was the slowest kid ever. But you can't. For some reason, he was so elusive. He's such a talent.
We've got a question here from Jordan. Who was your best friend at Stevenage, or best friends like your group that you were with?
This is tricky, so I'm going to let someone down here. So my best friend, really, pretty much best friend in general, is Adam Miller. So I've known him for a long, long time. But I'm probably being a bit harsh on AJ there, Alan Julian, and because I've known Alan, I drove in with Alan.
Alan said,
and then I drove in all the time with him at Gillingham as well. So I'm really close to Alan as well. Plus Ronnie and John Nurse, I was really close to because we were sort of in the same driving school. So I'd say those 3 or 4 are definitely my closest mates. Yeah, but listen, the team spirit we had there was incredible. Like all of those boys, I could call them up and we'd be really good friends. Barry Fuller as well. I still talk to Barry, still see Barry quite a bit. So that sort of group there, Stewie Lewis as well, Johnny Mike. I feel harsh saying it about anyone really. The closest is obviously Adam because I've known him for so long. Yeah. He was an usher at my wedding. I still talk to him pretty much every week.
I love Adam. Adam's come on to here as well. I spoke to Adam and he's very
old of him.
Yeah, I spoke to Adam probably about a month or two ago now it was, and I just love it. He says it how it is, and he's more than happy to. He's a
argument, but he's all right.
Yeah, no, I love Adam to bits. Really good player as well, and so in your debut against Altrincham, we lost that game 2-1. Do you remember much about that one? Were you kind of
first game
at all, or were you kind of just signs? Yeah,
we lost that first game 2-1. Yeah, I just remember Nursey missing the easiest chance ever from about 5 yards to make it 2-2. We didn't play that well, but we shouldn't have lost that game. That start of that season was just really weird. We didn't really find any rhythm, but we still should have. The amount of games we should have won that we didn't. There weren't many where we were really poor. I remember thinking we were poor at Aldershot away.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of home games where we let really bad goals in. I never thought we were really bad. Nothing really went for us, to be honest. And then, that first game, I remember Nursey missing one day on that he really should have scored. I think he just come on. But the first month or two was really frustrating.
And you scored your first goal against Woking, who you later went on to play for as well, equalising that day before we went on to win 3-2. So what were those sort of derby games like? The games against Woking? And
I'll be honest, I didn't know anything about those Stevenage Woking until I signed. And then that game, it was that pen. I scored a penalty, didn't I?
Yeah, penalty, yeah.
Yeah. And then that game, I remember Woking pretty much filled the end behind the goal. And I remember it being felt like a proper game, really, like a really good game. I think we won 3-2 in the end. Yeah, that was a really good game, actually. Enjoyed that one. Yeah, I remember the pen.
Was that the one right at the very death? Was that when Dobbo scored the winner?
I think he scored. Did he score a header? A little header at the back post. Yeah, I remember that. I think Nursey came on because Nursey had been on loan there, and he came back, and then he came on against them within about a week, and he played well when he came on. I remember getting the pen, and I remember Dobbo scoring late. I think Nursey set that up actually for Dobbo. I can't remember.
That was a great game as well. I remember coming out on the ground and stuff afterwards. Like that was, it was a great game to watch and to come out of and to see the boys win. Were you always the designated penalty taker, or was that something you always fancied yourself at?
For me, what happened, right? So Adam took him at the start of the season, and then I think he got injured or he got suspended. And we used to have this game, like me and Danny Potter and a couple of other boys used to play 5 for 5. We used to play 5 penalties for £5. So if you scored all 5, you get a fiver. If he saved one, he'd get a fiver. So you had to save one. And I kept getting fivers off Danny. So I was like, I fancy penalties. And then Stimo used to stay out and watch it. And he just said, look, do you want to take pens? And I said, yeah, okay, I'll take them. I ended up doing all right, actually. I think I might have missed 2, 1 or 2. I can't remember. But I did all right. I scored about sort of 10 or 12 out of 13 or 14.
Yeah, and that's right. And when Danny was on stream, he mentioned about the penalties as well. And I think you were one of the ones that were pretty high up the list of, who the favourite to take penalties were against the keeper there. Yeah,
we did it a lot. It was good fun, to be fair. Danny took a lot of money off the others, but he didn't take too much off me.
That's all right then. So we mentioned about George Boyd. You also scored against Ebbsfleet. Do you remember any about that one? The
3-0 free kick, wasn't it?
Yeah, free kick. Yeah, 25 yard.
Yeah. Oh no, hang on. Ebbsfleet was a pen, wasn't it? Or was it? I think I scored a pen against Ebbsfleet.
Yeah, it might have been.
I had to retake it.
Who was the 25-yard free kick against?
That was Weymouth at home, I think, the year after.
Okay.
That was a decent hit. But the pen against Ebbsfleet had to take twice. That's it. We beat them comfortably. We were just getting going at that point. We were starting to play really well.
That's right. I remember that. I remember having to see you. Did you score the first one as well, or did you miss the first one?
I scored both. I went different ways. I went to the bottom right on the first one, then I hit the second one top left. Okay. Yeah. But that was fine. That's all right. We started to play well at that point.
That's right. Yeah, and then Cambridge as well. Do you remember much about the Cambridge games?
Cambridge games are quite tight. I don't think we had a great record against Cambridge, to be honest. I can't remember that winning there that much. We lost away there my first year. I can't remember winning there. I've never really beaten Cambridge much. I think we beat them at Grays once or twice. But even
at Stevenage at home, I think it was quite a comfortable 4-1. I think it was at home. I
do remember that. No, I do remember. I think I scored a pen against them. I scored a bad penalty. The keeper should have saved it.
Okay.
I do remember that game, yeah.
And but your record at the Abbey wasn't great, no?
No, I can't really remember winning there. I'm trying to think I've lost there with Lincoln. I lost there with Stevenage my first year. I can't remember what happened the second year. I might not have played them. Grays, I think we might have drawn. Aldershot, I can't remember. But no, we didn't do particularly well at that place.
It's all right. The record at home was okay, so that was all right. And then you scored against Burton as well. That was when you scored the winner. That was an actual, that was a very crucial goal to beat them.
Yeah, 1-0. Yeah, we beat 1-0. I remember that. That was one of the goals I scored that wasn't a pen that year, I think. It's outside the box. Yeah, was it 2-1? Okay, yeah, it's a decent hit from outside the box, yeah.
And that was, what was it? Those kind of feelings like when you, end up grabbing a winner. What's the main differences in that between, grabbing a winner than equaliser, for example?
I don't know, really. I didn't really feel that different, to be honest. I scored I scored quite a few for Stevenage, so I took penalties, but I didn't score that many goals, so I never really that bothered about scoring, to be honest. It was nice to, but I never really had a sort of particular feeling. That there's been a couple of goals that have been really important that were like obviously a bit more special, but I don't know. I couldn't say that that one was any different to any of the others, to be honest. All
right, fair enough. So we've said about the penalty taker thing. We mentioned about Graves there as well. So another one you scored the winner in was Rushton and Diamonds as well. What was that like to play against Rushton?
Yeah, that was a strange.
That was the 1-0.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I think Gary Hill was manager, who I later played for. I remember him having a argument with Stimo after the game. I got on with both of them quite well, actually, even though they argued quite a lot. I remember that. I remember that game. I remember that pen. It was quite a tight game, actually. They had a good side. I don't know. That club just died, didn't it? But they had quite a good side that year, and they sort of really nice ground and stuff. I don't know. It's a shame what's happened to them, really.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned about Wembley. Let's talk about Mitchell Cole a bit. What was it like playing alongside Mitch? And obviously you mentioned, you played a part in his memorial game as well.
Yeah, so I knew Mitch. It's obviously one of the few boys who knew Mitch. Johnny obviously did as well, from Grays. So I'd known him quite a long time. So I met Mitch 2004. and pretty much in touch with him up until he passed away. Unbelievably fast, like off the mark, ridiculously quick. Good lad, strange sense of humour. Not my sense of humour at all, but like really nice boy. And just terribly sad, really, to be honest. Just really, really sad. I remember catching up with him when he'd been at Oxford, and he said, I think he was still at Oxford, but he was going to leave because he was he said, I can't play. I'm just so tired all the time. I can't breathe.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh God. So I knew when I met him, I said, what are you doing at Grays? And he said, well, I got released from West Ham because there's a slight issue with my heart. And I was like, oh, right, okay. So I knew that I was there. And then I remember Stimo used to say to me, like, if he looks tired, don't give him the ball. Give him a rest for a minute because he needs to get his breath back. I was like, fine, okay. I didn't think much of it. And then I spoke to him when he was at Oxford. And he said, look, I just can't do it anymore. It's just too stressful. And then he went to see the doctor and they said, look, you've got to stop playing. And then ironically, he stopped playing. And then the worst happened. It was just terribly sad.
Yeah, absolutely. And, what happened, of course, is very, very sad and devastating. But he does have a legacy from the club as well, playing a part in that Wembley final and the way there as well, the route to it.
Yeah, he was brilliant all the way through. That season, he was lightning. It's incredible. He pretty much came when we lost Boydie, to be honest. He sort of replaced George and was, every bit as effective. He was brilliant. And that goal in the final on his right foot, I don't think I've ever seen him score with his right foot, Mitch, but tucked that one away really well.
That's right. And then was it Eastbourne? I don't know were you playing at Eastbourne when he scored the hat trick?
I don't think I was. No, I think I'd gone by then.
Yeah, it might have been after you'd left. He scored a hat trick in like 8 or 9 minutes, and I think it was pretty much the perfect hat trick. I don't know if it was a header and left and right foot. I can't remember, but it was a great hat trick anyway.
Fair play to him.
And then, how did it feel walking out at Wembley? Obviously, you'd won the trophy, but hadn't played at Wembley. So, what was the overriding feeling coming out at Wembley there?
Yeah, I think it was weird because it had been talked about. It wasn't confirmed for quite a while. It was rumoured at the start of the trophy, it's going to be at Wembley. And we're like, oh right, okay, yeah, that's pretty impressive, pretty amazing. It wasn't confirmed until a bit later, and then it was ridiculous really when we went to look around the day before. I just remember looking around going, it's going to be brilliant. And obviously, because it was the first one, there's such heightened enthusiasm and interest in it that we had a really good crowd as well. So, no, it was a good game and a brilliant day.
I don't think there was anyone from Stevenage that wasn't there, to be honest.
Yeah, there were quite a few Stevenage fans from outside Stevenage as well, I imagine. But it was
there was.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I mean, and a brilliant day for the clubs. It was just that it's a funny one, Stevenage. I think maybe in hindsight, you can't not take the opportunities that came along for Stimo. But in hindsight, I thought we were going to win the league that year, and you never know where we would have gone in the next 3 or 4 years. But you can't really live in hindsight, unfortunately. But yeah, we had a really good team at the end of that season, then the start of the following one.
And of course, Stimo left to go to Gillingham, and he ended up bringing the majority of the players. I know you went, I know AJ went, Millsy went, Stewie Lewis went, Barry went, and of course Barry's only just left there on the back of his last spell now.
Yeah.
So
it took a lot. The thing was, I think the difficulty for Stimo was that he come from a group of players who were mainly very young, early 20s, some of them even late teens, like Stu. They were unbelievably hungry and desperate and really enjoyed playing together. And they didn't see it as a job. They just saw it as like fun and just desperate and hungry to succeed.
Yeah.
And then we went to Gillingham, and it was like 25 old pros who were on really good money, who'd been through the game already, didn't have the same hunger, still had lots of quality. There were some really good players there. And the balance between the two was just really difficult. When I first arrived, when he only managed to get Adam and I, the balance was actually okay because Adam and I came into it and it didn't disrupt things too much. It didn't put too many noses out of joint. And we were going quite well. I think we're in the top half for quite a lot of it. And then as it got towards Christmas, obviously he brung Stewie in, he brung Barry in, and then you could just sense that the balance tilted a little bit towards us. Yeah. And we became a bit of a group, and then there was another group, and the balance of the squad wasn't quite right, and it took him probably until the start of the following season to get the balance right there, which was when we went back up to League One.
That's right. And there was a few the old Grave boys that he brought in as well. It was Stewie Thurgood and a couple of others, weren't there?
Yeah, the Grays boys. I mean, Stewie and Leroy were great characters. They never really reached the heights they probably could have done, like they were when they were at Grays. Dennis ended up doing really well and was pretty consistent. Leroy and Stewie were good characters, but Stewie found it hard not to play. He was so used to playing every week at Grays. He was a really, really good player, but he got injured and then he didn't play, and then he just really struggled with not playing. It didn't really work out for him. And I think Leroy only stayed for 6 months or something, and he left.
Oh, okay. All right. So it wasn't too long there then. So we spoke about Mitch there. Let's talk about Ron as well for a bit. What was it like having Ronnie as the captain, and the kind of servant that he was for Stevenage as well?
Obviously Ronnie's like a brilliant servant for the club. Ronnie was great. Like Ronnie arrived and he sort of had a stuttery start, to be honest, because Stimmer didn't know if he was playing right back or centre back, and then Ronnie was in and out. And Ronnie being Ronnie, he always has his own opinion, which he's obviously perfectly entitled to. And there was a bit of friction to start with when we first got there, and then he had a little break because he had not a break actually, but we had a bad result, and then his little boy was born. Louis he's now about 14, but he was born, and then he came back the next day, and Stimmer said, "Right, you're playing and you're captain." And he was like, "Okay." And it just sort of changed everything for him. And from then, I think it was Weymouth at home. We beat them 1-0. Yeah. From then on, Ron was just captain and playing really well. He was a good captain, Ronnie. He had his own opinion. Like there was lots of, to be honest with you, there were quite a few. Even though we were young, like Ronnie, Adam, Alan, even Barry, being really young. Barry was about 21. There were plenty of characters who were chucking their weight around a little bit, but Ron was great. We all got on really well, and he was a good captain for us.
And then going back for his testimonial as well. So, what was it like to see everyone again?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Really, really nice day. Thoroughly deserved for him. It was really nice for me as well to go back. I don't think I certainly hadn't played. I don't think I played much on the pitch. So I think I played once or twice there for Gillingham, but not in a sort of in a friendly way like I did for Stevenage. I think I had Mitchell's game there as well, but it's brilliant going back. And obviously, I really miss playing. I haven't been able to play for sort of 7 years because of work. So it was lovely to go back, and a really nice day for Ronnie, and a good game with some good players in it actually.
Yeah, it was a really good game. Lots of good players there, and it was quite nice. You mentioned his son there that was just born. When you were there, you just said about that there. And he comes on as a 14-year-old and he puts the winner away, doesn't he? So, yeah. It
was nice, yeah. So I remember holding Louis in the bar at Stevenage at the back of the club after a game. Must have been about October, November time.
Yeah.
When him and Amy had just had him. So, yeah, it was weird seeing him run on the pitch, yeah.
Especially when he put it away as well.
Yeah.
And we saw Ronnie get another goal as well. That's, what was that, 4?
Yeah.
And then... let's see what we've got on here. So, yeah, we mentioned about Boro. In your second season, it was a little bit harder for you. So, what was it like in the second season? Because you didn't end up getting as many goals or, I don't know what really happened. Yeah.
Yeah, things changed a little bit. So when obviously Stimmer left pretty early, we started the season really well. And then I got injured and I missed about 6 weeks because I pulled my thigh. Mm-hmm. Took a long time to recover from. I think I missed most of September and some of October. And we had actually the Hobbit. So Johnny Martin was injured at the same time as me. We had a few injuries, but we still started the season pretty well. Then I got fit. I got back into the team, and then as soon as I got back into the team, Stimo left, and then Peter Taylor came in, and we played a totally different type of football where we were pretty much 2 banks of forward defending and then playing on the counter attack, rather than under Stimo where we were like press and play quickly forwards and try and score as many goals as you can. It sort of completely changed. So that sort of dynamic changed a little bit for me. I didn't get forward as much, obviously. And then obviously in November I left. So it's a totally different season, really. But I still felt the start of the season, the first month or so before I got injured, we were looking really good. I remember when I did my injury, actually, it was I think we beat Droylsden away 3-0 and I scored a pen.
That's it, yeah.
I remember tweaking it when I scored that penalty and then I took it off.
That's right. And then you mentioned about Peter Taylor there as well. You played with him for a couple of games before you moved on. What was it like to be involved in a squad managed by Peter Taylor and, with a squad that had that many loans brought in as well?
Yeah, I've got nothing but high praise for Peter Taylor. I thought he was an absolutely brilliant bloke. He he treated everyone like adults. He had his own style, which wasn't as exciting, I didn't think, but it was really good. He was a great coach, coached us all really well. I remember when Gillingham came in for me, he called me up and was absolutely brilliant about it. It could have been a pain. He could have said, no, you don't want me to go, blah, blah, blah. But he was absolutely brilliant, really supportive. One thing I won't forget as well is when I was coming out of the game, when I was leaving Lincoln, and I was sort of like, look, I'm falling out of love with it. I can't find a club, like blah, 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 blah. He was absolutely fantastic. I called him up, spoke to him for about half an hour, and he was really supportive. So I have nothing but good things to say about him, actually. He's a really top guy.
And so of course he's done really well with England and stuff as well throughout his career. And it was quite a coup for Stevenage to get him in as a manager there after Mark had left, and he did all right for himself. He got a few good results in there as well.
Yeah, I mean it was weird because we played Palace the pre-season before he came, and he was manager of Palace. So he'd obviously seen us play, and he was manager of Palace in that game. And then he sort of 14, 15 months later, he was in charge of us. And I think it was quite a late thing, to be honest. I think there was someone else lined up to take the job, but then Taylor said, look, actually, I'll do it to the end of the season. And it was a really good coup for Stevenage, and he did do well for a while. It was all right. It was difficult for him because a lot of the team left. I left, Adam left, Barry left, Stu left, and that's quite a big chunk of the side to sort of part with losing.
That's right, and I think Steve had left by that point as well, and he'd gone to Millwall, and actually Bodie had left, and he'd lost quite a lot of players as well throughout that other season when we won the trophy and everything as well. There's a few of them that had moved on, and he'd brought in quite a lot of loan players. I think Zoltan Liptak came in, and Tommy Smith came in as well, was another one at centre back.
Yeah, so a lot of changes for him.
So in regards to, we spoke about that one, when you left the club to join up with Gillingham and play under Mark there again, was that something that was always on the cards for you? Did you always want to, when he moved, was it for you did you kind of want to go as quickly as you could to reunite with him again, or?
Not really, no. He left, and I thought, to be honest, he deserved a move because he'd done a brilliant job at Grays, and he'd got Stevenage the trophy again. It looked like we were going to push the title the following year. He was a young manager, totally deserved his move to Gillingham. Didn't expect to go with him. Didn't expect anything other than to wish him good luck. And I was quite happy with Peter Taylor. He made me a fairly important player. I felt like I was wanted. They offered me a slightly better contract, so it wasn't like I was looking to go anywhere. But then I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks into Stimo being at Gillingham, he rang me up and said, look, I'd like to bring you in if I can. And I said, well, I'd be stupid not to go, really. I was 24, 25, so the chance to play in the league might not have come again, unless I got promotion, obviously. So I thought, it's probably the right time, and then it went through quite easily, and it worked out all right. I mean, Gillingham was very much an up and down 4 years, but it was a good time overall.
Okay, and then are you still working as a teacher at the moment? Is that what you're currently doing?
Yeah. So basically, after I left Gillingham, I went up to Lincoln, and we found it quite tough. At the time, my 2 older boys were very young. My wife had to sort of commute back and forth to work a couple of days a week, and it was quite tough for us. So after about a year to 18 months, we're like, look, this isn't working. So I came back home, and Woking had always wanted, Gary Hill had always tried to sign me for sort of 4 or 5 years, and said, look, do you want to come to Woking? It worked out that was part-time. I got a bit of a part-time job at school, coaching some football, and then that led to a bit of teaching, and then that led to other things. And now I'm deputy head of a boarding school in Ascot. So it's all changed. But changed for good. It's a nice change. I enjoy it, and it's a nice lifestyle for the kids and the family as well.
And you mentioned Woking there. So obviously you knew about Woking, having played against them a number of times, and of course you mentioned that about going to part-time and then going into the school as well. So that kind of just fitted in nicely.
It worked really well. I mean, like I said before, I didn't really know this rivalry between Woking and Stevenage, to be honest, until I went to Stevenage. Then we had some good games where we played. I think we beat them away 1-0 or drew 0-0. We beat them at home. Yeah. Saw there was a big rivalry there. And then, fun enough, because I played for Aldershot, who also apparently hate Woking, which I wasn't aware of either. And then when I went to Woking, and funny enough, even though Stevenage and Woking don't really like each other. For me personally, they're probably, in terms of pure enjoyment of playing, they're the two clubs I remember most fondly, because Stevenage was just, I just loved it. The boys there, the atmosphere, the crowd, everything was just positive all the time. And then Woking at the end of my career was a really nice way to end it. A local club, literally 5 minutes from my house. Lots of experienced players that I knew well, playing really good football. So again, I really enjoyed those two clubs, even though they hate each other, ironically.
I wouldn't really say, it's not too many that have done that have gone between Stevenage and Woking. I know obviously you did. Peter Vincenti was on loan there for a while, and there's a couple of others as well. It's whatever works for you, really, isn't it? So
yeah, I mean, like I said, I couldn't split them on on where I preferred. They're both, honestly, both two of my favourite places to play football.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on the new season? Do you know much about Alex Revell, who's now in charge here at Stevenage?
Yeah, funny enough, I spoke to Alex at the at Ronnie's testimonial, because he messaged me on LinkedIn, funny enough, and said, "Oh, John, how did you get into teaching and stuff?" And it's an avenue I'm looking at for when I finish playing.
Yeah,
and then different avenues popped up for him now, which is nice. I know it's been a bit of a funny season for Stevenage, because you had a bit of a reprieve at the end of the season, which is great. I'm really pleased with the club. So he's sort of got, I imagine he's probably walking into something where he hasn't got that much to lose, actually. And he's, from what I don't know him particularly well, only from playing against him and meeting him briefly at Ronnie's thing, but he seems like a very reliable, sensible bloke who cares quite a lot about the club. And hopefully he'll do a really good job and be there for a long time to come.
That's right, and he's got some good experience there alongside him as well. Lenny Lawrence being the main one, and Mark Sampson as well, who was there last season, so he's worked with him a bit there throughout the season as well. Just gone.
Yeah, so they've got plenty of good bodies there, and there's a decent squad of players as well from what I can gather. I think they obviously want to add 3 or 4 to try and lift the positive mood a little bit. But the thing with I thought when I played league football, there's always 1 or 2 sides who are very, very strong, and then between the rest, it's really a lot of it's about form, about momentum, and about injuries. If you keep people fit, the right players fit, and you get a bit of momentum going, pretty much any team can go up and any team can go down. So there's always an opportunity to, especially in League 2, where you can finish 7th and get in the playoffs. So there's an opportunity for them to go and have a go at it and see where it goes. That's
right, and they've made quite a lot of changes since last season as well. A number of bodies have left, and I think they've brought in, I think it's about 10 or 11 new signings as well, with a mixture of players that are looking to come up from non-league and make a name for themselves in the Football League, and players with league experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the recipe that seems to work fairly well in League 2, and you get some players who want to play league football and are hungry for it, and obviously, like I say, you need a little bit of experience, people who know the way around. So hopefully the balance is right for Stevenage, and they have a really good year.
And hopefully that's the case. And of course, they kickstart this coming weekend as well against Portsmouth in the first round of the Carabao Cup there. Of course, that's something you didn't get to do at Stevenage. You didn't get to play against higher end teams too much in FA Cups or whatever. But what was your FA Cup experiences like as a whole as a player? And
it's sort of an interesting record, really. When I was at Wickham, we got to the semi-finals. I mean, I didn't play. I was only 18. I got injured, funny enough. I would have probably been on the bench, but I was injured the week before, so I missed that semi-final against Liverpool back in nearly 20 years ago now, 2001. Yeah. And we had a good game at Gillingham against Villa, which we lost 2-1, a bit unlucky. James Milner scored both in that game. Played quite well. We're a bit unlucky in that. But no, nothing. I didn't really have any major runs in the FA Cup, to be honest. It wasn't one that was particularly great for me. So I'd probably just say that one, that Villa one and the Wickham one, really.
And the League Cup as well was the other. Well, that's the competition that obviously is underway this weekend with Stevenage. I
didn't touch on that much, really. We had a good game against Blackburn for Gillingham, which I think we lost 2-1 or 1-0 against Blackburn, who at the time were sort of top 10 in the Premier League. So we had that one, but Stevenage, obviously, it wouldn't have happened when I was there. So, not too many in that either.
And, of course, the FA Cup experiences that we did have when you were there, one of them was the 4-0 defeat to Exeter. And I remember, I think that was probably the time.
That was such a bad game. That was under Peter Taylor, wasn't it?
I think we lost there twice in the matter of a couple of weeks, I think, in the league.
Yeah, we did,
yeah.
That was awful. I remember that, yeah.
I think we lost 4-0. 4-0.
Yeah, Mark Arbor. I don't know if it was the cup game or the league game, but I remember Peter Taylor going mental at Arbs for giving the ball away to their striker, and he scored straight away. Yeah, it wasn't not good game for those ones.
They were long journeys as well. We literally left, I think, about 8 o'clock in the morning. We come back about 1 o'clock the next day, and it was like we just gone all that way and seen the sides just get absolutely levered on that occasion. And then we went back again for the second game, and it happened again. So it happens in football, though, doesn't it? So
good.
We've had plenty of good days out as well, though. So you take the bad with the good, don't you? So
yeah.
And then, you mentioned there about the reprieve. Do you think the club are at all fortunate to still be in the Football League now?
Well, it depends where you stand on financial things, I suppose. I mean, I'm sure it's Macclesfield, isn't it, who've missed out. I'm sure they'd feel a little bit aggrieved, but you have to sort of get yourself in order and run the club properly. And to be fair to Stevenage, I think that's one thing that they've always done. They've always run the club really well. So they get the reward for that, I suppose, this year. Hopefully they take advantage of it and don't find themselves in any trouble near the bottom again. Yeah,
and I don't think there will be. I don't think there's any sign of that happening again. With the changes over in the squad, we've changed the squad enough to be able to compete higher up in the division now.
Yeah, I should hope so.
So we'll just start to wrap it up. Actually, we haven't really got loads more. But did you see any of the work that the club had done in the community throughout the pandemic?
Yeah, I did see quite a bit of that. I think Stevenage have always had a good relationship with the community and the fans, because it's sort of like it's quite a new sort of town, new club, respective to many others. And I think there's quite a nice community there with and a relationship between the club and the town. So yeah, I did see that, and it's really nice. And sort of thing that hopefully, if anything, however boring and however frustrating and sad this situation has been over the last few months for many people, hopefully things like this can come out of it and be a positive, and people come together a bit more as a community than they were before.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of your teaching, what are you teaching? Are you a PE teacher, or what sort of stuff do you teach?
Well, our school, it's a boarding school that I work at, so a big chunk of my job is the boarding. So I look after the boys. It's all boys school, so a big chunk of it is looking after the 10, 11-year-olds who board in the boarding house. Yeah. Another big chunk of it is the sport. They do sort of 2 hours sport a day here. So another big chunk of it is that. And then I also teach a bit of PE, and I do a little bit of history and science in the classroom as well. But because it's a boarding school, it's pretty much an all-day thing. So the kids are up at sort of 7, and then they go to bed at 9. So it's sort of a long day for us as staff, but it's quite a rewarding one. And then obviously you get unbelievable holidays. So I wouldn't moan about how many hours I do, for sure.
And are you back in at the moment? Are you currently back in work there now?
Well, we're still off for summer. I'll probably start back at work next Monday doing stuff behind the scenes, and the kids are back the following Monday. And we're expecting to run as normal. Obviously, we'll have to try and distance in different groups, but yeah, things are back to normal. The kids need to go back to school. They need that structure, and they need that social interaction with their friends.
Definitely, yeah. Question here from Russ: would you ever consider going into coaching or punditry, anything like that?
I've never been offered any punditry. I wouldn't mind doing it, obviously, but I'm not sure they're that interested on Sky about an old left back's League 1 and League 2's opinion. But no, obviously those sort of things are really interesting. I love talking about football. Coaching wise, I'd absolutely love to. Absolutely love to. I've done my badges and well in with all those. That's all done. Done loads of coaching through school. Done loads of coaching through regional staff. I watch a lot of academy football as well. Would love to. The issue I have is that the boarding school has Saturday school, so I can't really get Saturdays away. And obviously running the boarding house in the evenings means Tuesdays and Thursdays are difficult. So yeah, it's a tricky one. It's something I'll probably look at in probably another couple of years. If I move to a school that isn't boarding, I can probably find a bit more flexibility. But I'd love to. I really would. It's something that I think I can do fairly well at, and something that interests me. But at the moment, it's not on the cards just yet.
Fair enough. And is that the same with like managerial and assistant manager roles and things like that as well?
Yeah, the thing is that there's years where you're a young fan. I've got an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 4-year-old. To away from such a secure job that I've got now to go and coach or manage, where things are so precarious. It's just not the right time. A little bit older, I get into my 40s perhaps, when I've got both their flexibility and work. I certainly look into it. It does interest me quite heavily, but you just have to wait until the right opportunity at the right time. Hopefully.
Okay. I think we've lost signal there a little bit. I don't know. Can you hear me all right at the moment?
Yeah, you're fine.
It's just, I don't know if I can hear you. The signal keeps going in and out there. Whether it's where you are or because it's coming out a bit funny there. The answer to that last question came out a bit weird.
Okay. How's it now?
It's still there. There's still kind of an echo. Yeah.
Okay. I think my signal's all right, mine, so I'm not sure. I'm reluctant to come in and out.
No, that's all right. Yeah. Right. Is that better?
I don't know.
Yes,
it is. Still hear you fine. Okay.
Yes, it is. It's clear now. So yeah, in terms of managerial and assistant manager roles, just repeat that again because that's kind of gone a bit.
Yeah, like I said, I'd absolutely love to do it. If the opportunity came up that was right, I'd consider it. But it's very difficult to walk away from a secure job with three youngish children to look after. So it's something that probably isn't right for the next year or two. But I've done I've done my badges. I'm qualified up, and I know I can. I know I'll be able to deliver a message. I know I'll be able to organise a team. But it's just the opportunity being the right place at the right time is just not quite right at the moment.
All right, yeah. And just apologies if anyone, when they listen back to this as well, because it will go out as a podcast format. So you might hear a little bit of robotic noise, and that's just us trying to figure out a little bit of signal issues there. Okay. Yeah, so we mentioned in regards to that and about coaching and managerial stuff. We mentioned about Mitchell, Cole and Ronnie. And that's it, really, to be honest, John. So I think we're good, actually.
Okay, great. Thanks for having me on. And like I said, Stevenage is honestly, it's probably the one club where I've kept a lot of friends from. It really was a special time there, and it's a bit sad that it was only sort of 18 months, but I did love my time there and some brilliant memories. So, yeah, very, very pleased to hook up and chat about it again.
It's always a pleasure to speak to you, and I know there's AJ and stuff haven't been in the chat at the moment, but I know they'll listen back to it and they'll give it a watch back and stuff.
I'll chat to him later anyway. I'm probably seeing AJ next week. So
fair enough. All right. Well, thanks for your time today, and enjoy whatever you got going on for the rest of the evening.
Well, have a good one. Cheers, mate. See you later.
Cheers. Bye now.